The massive chamber fell silent as Ambassador Zethkar stepped forward. His blue skin gleamed under the artificial lights of the Galactic Council headquarters. Around him, representatives from dozens of worlds watched nervously. Today's meeting would decide the fate of an entire species trapped in their home system. Fellow council members, Zethkar began, his voice carrying across the vast room. We gather today to discuss the human problem. 3 years have passed since we placed the Sol system under quarantine. 3 years since the Terra incident shook our understanding of warfare itself. A ripple of unease passed through the assembled aliens. The Terra incident was still fresh in everyone's memory. Admiral Crixthen of the Kithran Empire had approached Earth with a full battle fleet. Standard procedure for a newly discovered species. Show them the might of galactic civilization. Offer them a choice between submission or destruction. It had worked on every species for the past 1,000 years, but not with humans. The Kithran fleet never fired a single shot, Zethkar continued. 50 of our most advanced warships, each capable of destroying a moon, were disabled by primitive kinetic weapons and basic electronics. The humans used our own technology against us. In the Kithran section, Admiral Crix then shifted uncomfortably. He had been there. He had watched his mighty fleet become helpless in minutes. The humans had somehow turned their ship's own systems into weapons. Engines overloaded, weapons jammed. Life support failed in precise patterns that forced evacuations without causing deaths. It was surgical, terrifying, and impossible. But that's not what frightens us most, Zethkar said, activating a holographic display. Audio recordings filled the chamber, human voices during the battle. The aliens listened in growing horror. Target the primary sensor array on Ship 7. Use the tungsten rods, copy that. Firing solution locked. Ship 12 is trying to reroute power. Hit their backup generators already on it. Nice shooting, by the way. Thanks. Hey, want to grab coffee after this? That new place on Station 5? Sure, if we wrap this up by 1600. The casual tone sent chills through every alien present. These humans spoke about disabling an invasion fleet the way others might discuss weekend plans. No anger, no fear, no hatred, just professional competence and friendly conversation. They treated our most powerful military force like a training exercise, Zethkar said as the recordings ended. Our xenopsychologists studied these communications for months. The humans were not desperate defenders fighting for their lives. They were workers doing their jobs. Admiral Crix then finally spoke up. His voice carried the weight of military experience across a dozen wars. I've faced every major species in battle. The Nexari with their energy weapons, the Velthari with their ancient knowledge, the Thraxians with their unstoppable strength. I understood them all. Fear, anger, pride, desperation, these are emotions warriors know. But humans? They felt nothing we could recognize. The Nexari representative, Dr. Vexara, leaned forward. Her species prided themselves on logic and technological superiority. Perhaps they simply lack emotional capacity. Some species develop differently. No, Crix then replied firmly. They had emotions. I heard them laugh. I heard them worry about being late for dinner. They just didn't see us as a threat worth getting emotional about. A new voice joined the discussion. Chancellor Morden of the Thraxian Confederacy stood to his full 3-meter height. His species had conquered half the outer rim through pure physical dominance. We've analyzed the human weapons. Kinetic projectiles, metal rods fired by magnetic acceleration. Chemical explosives. Basic computer viruses. Technology we abandoned thousands of years ago. Yet it worked perfectly against our most advanced systems, Dr. Vexara observed. How is this possible? Zethkar brought up another display. Long-range sensor data from the Sol system. Our surveillance shows they've been preparing. Their asteroid mining operations have increased by 400%. They're building something, many somethings. The display showed the inner Sol system bustling with activity. Massive construction projects orbited Earth and Mars. The asteroid belt swarmed with mining ships and processing stations. Most disturbing were the objects being built. Sleek, dark vessels that seemed to absorb sensor pings rather than reflect them. They know we're watching, Dr. Vexara said. They must know our sensors can penetrate their system. Do they? Zethkar asked. Or do they simply not care what we see? The question hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Every species in galactic history had tried to hide their military preparations from potential enemies. The humans were building their fleet in plain sight, as if they wanted the galaxy to see. Admiral Crix then studied the sensor data with professional interest. Those ship designs, they're not following any known principles of space combat. No obvious weapons, no standard shield generators, no recognizable propulsion systems. It's like they're building toys. The same thing we thought about their kinetic weapons, Chancellor Morden reminded him grimly. Dr. Vexara's scientific mind raced through possibilities. Perhaps they've developed technology beyond our understanding. Some species make quantum leaps in development. Or perhaps, Zethkar said quietly, we never understood them in the first place. The chamber fell silent again. Each species represented here had followed the same basic pattern when they achieved faster-than-light travel. Initial aggression, territorial expansion, contact with galactic civilization, and eventually integration into the greater community. Some took longer than others, but the pattern held true for over 3 million years of recorded galactic history. Humans had broken the pattern. They had appeared on the galactic stage suddenly, with technology that seemed primitive, but proved devastatingly effective. They had faced down the galaxy's premier military force without breaking stride. Most unsettling of all, they had shown no interest in expansion, conquest, or even communication. They simply existed in their corner of the galaxy, building things and watching. The quarantine has held for 3 years, Zethkar continued. No human vessel has left their system. No human signal has been detected beyond their borders. They appear to respect our boundaries. Or they're planning something, Chancellor Morden growled. His warrior instinct screamed that passive enemies were the most dangerous kind. Motion detected at the Sol system perimeter. Came a sudden announcement from the chamber's communication systems. Long-range sensors showing unusual activity. The display changed to show real-time sensor data from the quarantine monitoring stations. At the edge of human space, something was happening. Energy readings spiked across multiple spectrums. Space itself seemed to be bending in ways that defied physics. What are they doing? Dr. Vexara whispered. The answer came in the form of a new contact on the sensors. A ship, sleek, dark, and completely unknown, had appeared at the quarantine boundary. Not emerged from hyperspace, not decelerated from sublight speed. It had simply appeared, as if space had folded to deliver it. The ship moved toward the nearest monitoring station with steady, unhurried purpose. No weapons were visible, no aggressive maneuvers detected. It approached like a diplomat might approach a negotiating table, confident, unthreatened, and ready to talk. They're coming, Zethkar said unnecessarily. Everyone in the chamber could see the obvious truth displayed before them. After 3 years of silence, humanity was ready to make contact. The galaxy held its breath. Station Commander Yilmoth had seen everything in her 40 years of military service. Border wars, pirate raids, diplomatic disasters, and first contact protocols gone wrong. The veteran officer thought nothing could surprise her anymore. She was wrong. The human ship had appeared in Kepler Station's main docking bay without warning. Not through the hyperspace channels that every civilized species used. Not through the security checkpoints that protected neutral space. It had simply materialized in the docking bay as if space itself had delivered it. Commander, her communications officer called out, voice tight with stress. The ship, there are no records of it requesting docking permission. No flight plan filed. No identification transmitted. Our sensors didn't detect its approach until it was already here. Yilmoth stared at the mysterious vessel through the bay's viewing windows. The ship defied easy description. Its hull seemed to shift and change as she watched, sometimes appearing black as deep space, other times reflecting the station's lights in patterns that hurt to look at directly. No obvious weapons were visible, but then again the humans had proven that obvious weapons weren't necessary. What do our sensors tell us about the ship's construction? She asked her tactical officer. That's complicated, Commander. The hull appears to be made of materials not in our database. Energy readings are minimal, but the patterns don't match any known propulsion or power systems. It's as if the ship is deliberately avoiding our scans. Before Yilmoth could respond, the ship's airlock opened. 2 figures emerged, walking with the casual confidence of tourists visiting a shopping center. They appeared human according to the biological databases. Bipedal, average height, unremarkable clothing. But something about the way they moved made every instinctual alarm in Yilmoth's military-trained mind start screaming. They walked like predators who knew they were at the top of the food chain. The humans approached the docking bay security checkpoint where crowds of various alien species watched from behind reinforced barriers. Word of the mysterious arrival had spread quickly through the station. Representatives from dozens of worlds pressed forward to get a better look at the species that had terrorized galactic nightmares for 3 years. The male human stepped forward first. He was unremarkable in appearance. Brown hair, average build, clothes that could have been worn by any station worker. When he spoke, his voice carried the easy confidence of someone accustomed to being listened to. "I'm Marcus," he said in perfect galactic standard. "This is Elena. We're here to discuss the quarantine situation with the Galactic Council." The casual announcement sent ripples of shock through the watching crowd. Humans supposedly had no formal contact with galactic civilization. How did they speak the universal language flawlessly? More importantly, what authority did 2 individuals have to speak for their entire species? Security Chief Grathax stepped forward. The massive Thraxian warrior stood over 3 meters tall and weighed 400 kilograms of muscle and bone. His species had conquered half the outer rim through sheer physical superiority. He had personally subdued representatives from 40 different worlds. 2 small humans should not have concerned him at all. "Unknown individuals," Grathax rumbled in his species' intimidating bass voice. "You will submit to security screening and await proper diplomatic channels." This station maintained strict protocols for first contact situations. Elena, the female human, turned to look at the security chief. Her expression was politely interested, like someone examining an unusual insect. She appeared to be in her 30s with dark hair and eyes that seemed to take in everything around her without effort. "We appreciate your attention to protocol," she said pleasantly. "However, we're operating under somewhat accelerated circumstances. The quarantine situation has become inconvenient." Grathax moved to block their path. In his experience, physical presence was usually enough to establish authority. Most species recognize Thraxian dominance instinctively. "You will comply with station security procedures or you will be detained." Marcus exchanged a glance with Elena. The look between them lasted perhaps 2 seconds, but somehow conveyed an entire conversation. Elena stepped forward and placed one hand on Grathax's armored chest. What happened next defied every law of physics the watching aliens understood. The massive Thraxian warrior staggered backward, suddenly gasping for air. His legs, capable of supporting his enormous weight in combat against multiple opponents, shook like a newborn's. 400 kilograms of trained muscle and bone trembled under the touch of a human female who probably weighed less than 60 kilograms. Elena hadn't struck him. She hadn't used any visible weapon. She had simply touched him, and somehow, impossibly, his own body had betrayed him. The great warrior found himself struggling to breathe, his vision blurring at the edges, while the human watched with the calm attention of a scientist observing an experiment. "We prefer to avoid inconveniences," Elena said gently, withdrawing her hand. Immediately, Grathax's breathing returned to normal, though he continued to stagger. For everyone involved, the security chief, gasping and confused, wisely stepped aside. Whatever had just happened was beyond his understanding or ability to counter. In 40 years of military service, he had never encountered anything like it. Commander Yilmoth watched the exchange through the bay's security cameras. Her tactical training told her she should immediately call for reinforcements and lock down the station. Her survival instincts told her that would be a very bad idea. "Open a priority channel to the Galactic Council," she ordered her communications officer. "Emergency session. Tell them the humans have initiated first contact, and they're requesting immediate audience." "Commander," her science officer interrupted, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from throughout the station. It appears we have additional visitors." The display screens around the command center lit up with sensor data. Throughout Kepler Station and maintenance shafts, storage areas, and service corridors, motion sensors were detecting movement. Figures in environmental suits were moving through areas that should have been empty, accessing computer terminals and data nodes. "How many?" Yilmoth asked, though she dreaded the answer. 17 distinct contacts, Commander. They appeared to arrive with the main ship, but somehow dispersed throughout the station without triggering security alerts. Yilmoth felt a chill run down her spine. Kepler Station was a fortress designed to withstand military assault. Its security systems were state-of-the-art, incorporating technology from every major galactic power. The idea that nearly 20 individuals could infiltrate it undetected was impossible. Unless, of course, those individuals represented a level of capability that the galaxy had never encountered before. In the docking bay, Marcus continued speaking to the growing crowd of alien representatives. His tone remained conversational, as if discussing weather patterns rather than potentially reshaping galactic politics. "We understand there have been concerns about humanity's integration into galactic society," he said. "We'd like to address those concerns directly. The current quarantine arrangement has served its purpose, but circumstances have evolved." A Velthari diplomat, his blue skin pale with nervous tension, stepped forward. "What authority do you have to speak for your species? What credentials can you provide?" Elena answered with the same pleasant tone she had used with the security chief. "We're here representing Special Forces Command. Our credentials are our presence on this station, despite 3 years of military quarantine designed specifically to prevent exactly this kind of meeting." The implications of her statement hit the assembled aliens like a kinetic bombardment. If these humans had bypassed the most sophisticated containment operation in galactic history, if they had infiltrated one of the most secure installations in known space, then the quarantine had never been containing them at all. It had been containing everyone else's illusion of safety. Marcus gestured toward the viewing ports where their mysterious ship waited. "We've prepared a presentation for the Council. We think they'll find our perspective on recent events quite educational." The way he said educational made Commander Yilmoth's blood run cold. In her experience, when military specialists use that word, it usually preceded something that would redefine everyone's understanding of the universe, and rarely in a good way. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened within hours. Representatives from across the galaxy participated through quantum-encrypted communication channels, speaking from heavily fortified locations light years away. Nobody wanted to be in the same system as the humans, let alone the same room. Marcus and Elena sat calmly in Kepler Station's central conference chamber. Around them, enough firepower to level a small moon was discreetly positioned and ready. Every word they spoke was being analyzed by the galaxy's finest xenopsychologists, threat assessment specialists, and military tacticians. The humans appeared completely unconcerned by any of this. Admiral Crix, then, of the Kithran Empire, spoke first, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered star systems. "Humans, you have violated a military quarantine established by unanimous council decision. Explain yourselves." Marcus leaned back in his chair with the relaxed posture of someone attending a routine business meeting. "Admiral, with respect, I think there's been a misunderstanding about the nature of that quarantine. The quarantine was established to contain your species within the Sol system." Dr. Vexara of the Nexari interjected. "Our monitoring stations have confirmed no human vessels leaving your territory for 3 years." Elena smiled with the patience of a teacher addressing a slow student. "Dr. Vexara, your monitoring stations have been, let's say, incomplete in their observations." She produced a small device from her pocket, a simple metallic cube that looked like it might contain basic electronics. "May I demonstrate?" Without waiting for permission, Elena placed the cube on the conference table. It immediately projected a holographic display that filled the chamber with 3-dimensional images. The display showed Kepler Station itself, but from impossible angles. The images moved through walls, inside air ducts, within the computer systems themselves. More disturbing still, the projection showed real-time biometric data for every person in the room. Heart rates, stress levels, even psychological state analysis. "We've been monitoring this conversation through approximately 47 different surveillance vectors," Marcus explained with the casual tone one might use to discuss lunch plans. "Your station's security systems are quite sophisticated. They would have deterred most conventional infiltration attempts." The word conventional hung in the air like a death sentence. Chancellor Mordun of the Thraxian Confederacy found his voice first. "You're saying you've compromised this station's security entirely?" "Oh, completely," Elena confirmed cheerfully. "We've had access to your communication systems, defense networks, personnel files, and strategic databases since approximately 40 minutes after our arrival. Standard operating procedure for diplomatic meetings." Ambassador Zethkar of the Velthari felt ice forming in his stomach. "Standard procedure for what kind of diplomats?" Marcus exchanged another of those brief, meaningful glances with Elena before answering. the kind who need to ensure their safety before entering potentially hostile territory. We did try to arrange this meeting through normal channels, but there seemed to be some confusion about whether humanity was actually interested in diplomacy. Dr. Vexara's analytical mind raced through the implications. You're claiming you've been operating outside the Sol system despite our quarantine? Operating is such a formal word, Elena said thoughtfully. We prefer to think of it as extended reconnaissance. We needed to understand galactic society before making formal contact. The cube projected a new display, a star map of the local galactic arm. Red dots began appearing across the map. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Each dot pulsed gently, marking positions throughout known space. Each indicator represents a human asset currently in position, Marcus explained. Surveillance posts, communication relays, research stations, and what our operational manuals classify as strategic personnel placement. Admiral Crix then stared at the display in growing horror. The red dots covered every major system in Kithrin space. Strategic personnel placement? What does that mean? Elena's smile became distinctly predatory. It means we have people in places you might find surprising, Admiral. Would you like some examples? She didn't wait for an answer. The display zoomed in on specific locations, showing detailed information that made the assembled aliens wish they had never asked. Agent Sarah Chen has been working in the Velthari Cultural Exchange Program for 14 months. She's been quite popular with her colleagues. Her research on interspecies linguistics has been cited in 17 academic papers. She also happens to have complete access to your intelligence archives. Ambassador Zethkar felt his species equivalent of a heart attack. Beginning, Sergeant David Kim has been maintaining life support systems on the Kithrin Fortress, world of Drathmore, for 8 months. Excellent employee. Never missed a shift, always willing to work overtime. His efficiency reports are exemplary. He also has administrative access to your primary weapons control systems. Admiral Crix then made a sound that might have been a whimper. Drathmore was supposed to be impregnable. It was the heart of Kithrin military power. Dr. Jennifer Walsh has been collaborating with Nexari researchers on theoretical physics for 6 months. Her work on dimensional mechanics has been groundbreaking. 3 of her theoretical papers are currently classified at the highest levels of Nexari science. She's also copied approximately 78% of your experimental technology databases. Dr. Vexara's logical mind simply refused to process what she was hearing. The Nexari research facilities were protected by security measures that had taken centuries to develop. Should I continue? Elena asked pleasantly. We have personnel in 47 major installations across 16 different species territories. They've all been model citizens and employees, very popular with their co-workers. Chancellor Morden found his voice, though it came out as more of a growl. You're describing a massive infiltration operation. An act of war. Marcus looked genuinely puzzled by the accusation. War? Chancellor, our people have been building friendships, contributing to their communities, and learning about your cultures. Several have received Employee of the Month awards. How is that an act of war? Because you're spying on us. Admiral Crix then exploded. We prefer the term cultural exchange, Elena corrected gently, though I suppose the distinction depends on your perspective. Dr. Vexara's scientific training finally reasserted itself. What you're describing is impossible. The level of coordination, the resources required, the sheer scope of the operation. How could your species accomplish this without any of our intelligence services detecting it? Marcus leaned forward slightly, his expression becoming more serious. Dr. Vexara, I think you're still operating under some fundamental misunderstandings about human capabilities. Would you like us to clarify a few things? The way he asked the question made it clear that clarification would not improve anyone's day. Elena produced a second device, this one displaying personnel files with photographs. These are the humans currently operating in your territories. As you can see, they represent a wide range of specialties. Scientists, engineers, artists, teachers, maintenance workers, researchers, even a few who've become quite successful entertainers. The faces on the display looked completely ordinary. They could have been any species' citizens going about their daily lives. Nothing marked them as infiltrators or intelligence operatives. The gentleman in the top left corner, Elena continued, has become quite close friends with Admiral Crixden's nephew. They play weekly games of Taraxian chess. The woman in the second row has been dating a Velthari diplomat for 3 months. They're apparently quite serious about each other. The human in the bottom right has been promoted twice in the Nexari Research Division and is being considered for permanent citizenship. The personal details hit harder than any military threat could have. These weren't distant, faceless infiltrators. They were people who had become part of alien families, communities, and lives. "How long have you been planning this?" Ambassador Zethkar asked weakly. "Oh, we're not done yet," Marcus replied cheerfully. "This was just the initial phase. The reconnaissance and cultural integration stage. We wanted to make sure we understood galactic society before moving to the next phase of contact protocols." The word protocols carried implications that no one in the chamber wanted to explore. Elena consulted her device as if checking a schedule, which brings us to why we're here today. The reconnaissance phase has been quite successful, but our operational timeline calls for transitioning to formal diplomatic contact, hence this meeting. Dr. Vexara grasped at the one piece of information that might offer hope. "You said this was reconnaissance. That implies your actual military forces are still in the Sol system." "Oh yes," Marcus confirmed. "Our reconnaissance division is quite small, only about 40,000 personnel. They're primarily anthropologists, linguists, and cultural specialists with some basic infiltration training. The actual military has been conducting readiness exercises while hoping they won't be needed." The number hit the chamber like a kinetic weapon. 40,000 people had conducted a galaxy-wide intelligence operation that had compromised every major military and research installation in known space. The silence in the chamber stretched for long minutes. Representatives from the galaxy's greatest powers sat frozen, trying to process the impossible reality that had just been laid before them. Finally, Admiral Crix then found his voice. "You're telling us that everything we've seen from humanity, the Terra incident, the technological capabilities, the strategic thinking, that was your research division?" "Anthropologists with security clearance," Marcus confirmed. "Their job was to establish communication protocols and assess whether formal contact would be safe for both sides." Dr. Vexara's scientific mind rebelled against the implications. "Then what exactly is your actual military preparing for?" Elena consulted her device again, scrolling through what appeared to be routine operational reports. "Oh, various contingencies. Hostile first contact scenarios. Territorial disputes, the possibility that diplomatic solutions might not be available." "Standard military planning, really. Show us," Chancellor Morden demanded. "If you want us to believe this story, prove it." Marcus and Elena exchanged another glance, this one carrying a weight that made the chamber's temperature seem to drop several degrees. "Chancellor," Elena said carefully, "what exactly are you asking us to demonstrate?" "Your actual military capabilities," the Thraxian leader growled. "If your anthropologist could disable our finest battle fleet, what can your real soldiers do?" Elena was quiet for a long moment, then began typing on her device. "I need to make a call. This kind of demonstration requires authorization from Special Forces Command." The device projected a new display, apparently a communication interface. A voice emerged from the speakers, speaking English but with universal translation enabled. "This is Colonel Patterson, Special Forces Command. Elena, Marcus, good to hear from you. How are the negotiations going?" "There's been a request for a demonstration of actual military capabilities," Elena replied. "The galactic leadership wants to understand the difference between our research division and our military forces." A pause, then. "Are they sure about that? Once we demonstrate actual military capacity, we can't put that knowledge back in the box." Admiral Crix then leaned forward aggressively. "We're sure. Show us what human military power actually looks like." Another pause, longer this time. "Very well. Elena and Marcus, you might want to step away from the conference table for the next few minutes." The humans moved to the side of the chamber with the calm efficiency of people following well-rehearsed procedures. Elena activated a small device that projected a protective field around them. "Galactic Council representatives," Colonel Patterson's voice continued, "you've asked for a demonstration of human military capabilities. What you're about to experience is a controlled exercise using minimal force. This is not an attack, nor is it intended as a threat. Consider it an educational presentation." The lights in Kepler Station flickered once. Then everything changed. Every display screen in the chamber activated simultaneously, showing the interior of military installations, government buildings, and research facilities across the galaxy. The images were crystal clear. real-time feeds from locations that should have been impossible to access. Visual confirmation of strategic asset placement, Colonel Patterson's voice narrated calmly. Current operational status. All primary targets secured. Admiral Crix then watched in horror as the display showed the interior of his own flagship, currently orbiting the Kithran homeworld. Human operatives in maintenance uniforms moved through corridors with the casual confidence of people who belonged there. They weren't hiding. They were simply going about their duties as if they had every right to be there. Kithran military network penetration. Complete, the voice continued. All command and control systems accessible. Weapons systems under remote administration. Life support networks integrated with human control protocols. The display shifted to show Nexari research installations. Dr. Vexara watched humans working alongside Nexari scientists. Their presence so natural that their alien colleagues clearly had no idea they were looking at infiltrators. Nexari technology integration. Comprehensive. Research databases copied and analyzed. Experimental weapons systems understood and countermeasures developed. Scientific personnel deeply embedded in all major projects. Chancellor Morden saw Thraxian fortress worlds where humans served in support roles, maintenance, administration, logistics. Positions that gave them access to everything while making them invisible to security concerns. Thraxian military infrastructure, fully compromised. Supply chains under monitoring. Personnel records accessible. Strategic planning documents reviewed in real time. The display expanded to show installation after installation, world after world. Humans weren't just present in alien society. They had become integral parts of it. They maintained the computers, serviced the weapons, processed the communications, and managed the logistics that kept galactic civilization running. Total strategic assets in position, 47,312. Average deployment duration, 18 months. Integration success rate, 97.4%. Mission parameters, exceeded in all categories. Dr. Vexara found her voice, though it came out as barely a whisper. How is this possible? The resources required, the planning, the coordination. Dr. Vexara, Colonel Patterson replied, you're still thinking in terms of traditional military operations. This isn't an invasion. It's recruitment. Elena stepped forward to explain, her voice carrying the tone of a professor delivering a lecture. Every human currently in your territories volunteered for extended cultural exchange programs. They genuinely wanted to learn about your civilizations, contribute to your societies, and build relationships with your people. But they're also intelligence operatives, Ambassador Zethkar protested. They're anthropologists, Marcus corrected. The intelligence gathering was secondary to their primary mission of cultural integration. They were supposed to learn about you, understand your societies, and determine whether formal diplomatic contact would be beneficial for everyone involved. Colonel Patterson's voice continued the explanation. The fact that this knowledge has military applications is incidental. When you truly understand a civilization, its technology, its culture, its weaknesses, and its strengths, you can either help it thrive or bring it to its knees. Our people chose to help it thrive. The display showed more detailed information. Humans who had developed genuine friendships with their alien colleagues, others who had fallen in love and started families, some who had made scientific breakthroughs that benefited their adopted worlds. These weren't just infiltrators. They were immigrants who happened to be the most effective intelligence operatives in galactic history. The Terra incident that you're also concerned about, Elena continued, was handled by 12 research specialists with basic security training. They disabled your battle fleet using equipment they built in their spare time from materials available at any mining station. 12 people? Admiral Crixthen's voice cracked. Dr. Sarah Kim, specialist in alien technology integration. Dr. James Chen, expert in electromagnetic systems. Dr. Maria Santos, kinetic weapons researcher. They were studying your fleet composition for their doctoral dissertations on comparative military technology. When you approached Earth with hostile intent, they simply applied their research. The implications crashed over the assembled aliens like a tsunami. The humans hadn't defeated the Kithran fleet through superior military might. They had done it as a science project. What about your actual military? Chancellor Morden asked desperately. You're real soldiers. Colonel Patterson's voice took on a different quality, still professional but with an edge that hadn't been there before. Our actual military has spent the last 3 years preparing for the possibility that diplomacy might fail. They've been developing strategies based on the comprehensive intelligence our research division has provided. They know everything about us, Dr. Vexara said quietly. They know everything about everyone, Elena confirmed. Every military installation, every technological capability, every political structure, every economic system. Our people have been living among you, learning from you, becoming part of your worlds. They understand your civilizations better than you understand them yourselves. Marcus activated his own device, showing a new set of displays. This is what human military planning looks like when applied to comprehensive intelligence. The screens showed strategic analyses of every major galactic power. Not just military assessments, but complete civilizational studies, economic vulnerabilities, social pressure points, technological dependencies, political weaknesses. The humans had mapped every possible way to either defend these civilizations or destroy them. We could shut down galactic civilization without firing a shot, Elena said matter-of-factly. Our people are already in position to disable communication networks, disrupt supply chains, compromise defense systems, and cause economic collapse. But that's not why we're here. Then why are you here? Ambassador Zethkar asked. Colonel Patterson answered from the speakers. Because isolation doesn't serve anyone's interests. Humanity wants to join galactic civilization, not conquer it. But we needed to ensure that we'd be joining as equals, not as subjects. The emergency recess lasted 6 hours. During that time, every major galactic power conducted frantic security reviews, trying to identify which of their trusted employees, colleagues, and friends might be human infiltrators. The results were uniformly devastating. When the council reconvened, the atmosphere had fundamentally changed. The aliens no longer spoke with the authority of representatives from superior civilizations, addressing a primitive species. They spoke like beings who had suddenly discovered they were living in a house of cards that someone else had been quietly building around them for years. Admiral Crix then spoke first, his voice carrying the weight of military defeat without a battle being fought. We've confirmed the human presence in our installations. Every location they showed us checks out. Our security reviews are incomplete. Incomplete how? Dr. Vexara asked, though her scientific curiosity had been replaced by something approaching dread. We can't tell which humans are infiltrators and which are legitimate employees, the Admiral admitted. Their integration is so complete that they've become indistinguishable from naturalized citizens. Background checks show proper documentation, work histories, social connections. If they're spies, they're the most successful spies in galactic history. Chancellor Mordun's report was equally disturbing. 3 of our most decorated engineers are human. They've been responsible for major improvements in our defense systems. Systems that we now realize they designed to include vulnerabilities that only they know about. Elena nodded with the satisfied expression of a teacher whose students had finally grasped a difficult concept. Chancellor, you're beginning to understand the scope of the operation. Our people weren't trying to sabotage your civilizations. They were trying to improve them while ensuring that those improvements wouldn't be used against humanity. Explain, Ambassador Zethkar demanded. Marcus activated his device, showing detailed technical schematics. Every system our people worked on includes what we call diplomatic protocols, hidden subroutines that allow for peaceful resolution of conflicts. Your weapons can be disabled remotely, but only to prevent them from being used for aggressive purposes. Your communication networks include encryption backdoors, but only to facilitate emergency coordination. You're saying you've built kill switches into our technology? Dr. Vexara's voice rose with barely controlled anger. We've built peace switches, Elena corrected gently. Technology that ensures conflicts can be ended quickly and cleanly, without massive casualties or destruction. Colonel Patterson's voice joined the conversation from the speakers. Dr. Vexara, consider what you're really upset about. We've given your civilizations better technology, improved your infrastructure, and enhanced your quality of life. The only cost is that you can't use these improvements to commit genocide or wage wars of conquest. The implications settled over the chamber like a heavy blanket. Humanity hadn't just infiltrated galactic civilization. They had quietly modified it to make large-scale violence nearly impossible. How long have you been planning this? Ambassador Zethkar asked. About 200 years, Marcus replied casually. The planning began when we first detected radio signals from other civilizations. We had 2 centuries to prepare for first contact. Elena consulted her device, scrolling through what appeared to be historical records. The approach was based on extensive study of your own histories. Every species in the galaxy has a record of conquering or being conquered by someone else. We decided to try a different approach. What approach? Chancellor Morden growled. Making ourselves indispensable rather than threatening, Elena explained. Instead of demanding a place in galactic society, we earned one. Instead of conquering through force, we integrated through competence. Dr. Vexara's analytical mind finally grasped the full scope of what had happened. You've conducted a bloodless conquest of galactic civilization. We've conducted a bloodless integration, Marcus corrected. There's an important difference. Conquest implies taking something away from you. Integration means we've added value to what you already had. Colonel Patterson's voice carried a note of satisfaction. Our people have contributed to scientific breakthroughs, improved manufacturing processes, enhanced communication systems, and strengthened defense networks. Every world they've worked on is better than it was before they arrived. But you've also compromised our independence, Admiral Crix then protested. Have we? Elena asked. Your ships are faster, your weapons are more precise, your living standards are higher. The only thing you've lost is the ability to use your improvements to harm others without consequence. The chamber fell silent as the aliens contemplated this new reality. Humanity had achieved what every conqueror in galactic history had attempted: complete strategic dominance. But they had done it by making themselves helpful rather than threatening. Ambassador Zethkar finally voiced the question everyone was thinking. What do you want from us now? Formal diplomatic recognition, Marcus replied immediately. An end to the quarantine. Integration into galactic civilization as equal partners. And if we refuse? Chancellor Morden asked. Elena's expression became thoughtful, as if considering a complex mathematical problem. Then our people would be very disappointed. They've grown quite fond of their adopted homes and communities. Would they return to Earth? Dr. Vexara asked. Some would, Elena admitted. Others might choose to resign their commissions and remain as private citizens. After 18 months of building lives and relationships, many have put down roots. The threat was delivered so subtly that it took several moments to register. If even half the human operatives chose to remain as independent actors, they would become a distributed intelligence network with no central authority and no restraining protocols. Colonel Patterson clarified from the speakers. Independent human operatives would be outside our command structure. We couldn't guarantee their continued adherence to our peaceful integration protocols. The implication was terrifying. 40,000 humans with complete knowledge of galactic civilization's vulnerabilities, operating without oversight or restraint. You're giving us a choice between formal integration and potential chaos, Admiral Crix then observed. We're giving you a choice between cooperation and uncertainty, Marcus corrected. Formal integration means continued human contribution to galactic society under established diplomatic protocols. The alternative is unpredictable. Dr. Vexara struggled with the logical paradox they faced. You're essentially holding galactic civilization hostage, but you're asking us to invite you to dinner. Dr. Vexara, Elena said with genuine warmth, we're not holding anyone hostage. We're offering partnership. Our people have demonstrated that human and alien cooperation produces remarkable results. We'd like to continue that cooperation formally. What would formal integration look like? Ambassador Zethkar asked. Marcus activated a new display showing proposed treaty frameworks. Standard diplomatic recognition, trade agreements, cultural exchange programs, joint research initiatives, mutual defense pacts, nothing revolutionary, just normal relationships between equal civilizations. With the understanding that you have comprehensive intelligence on all of us, Chancellor Morden added grimly. With the understanding that we've already proven our commitment to your welfare, Elena replied. Our people have been in position to cause massive damage for months. Instead, they've made your worlds better places to live. Colonel Patterson's voice carried a note of finality. The galaxy has a choice to make. You can continue to see humanity as a threat to be contained, or you can recognize us as partners who've already proven our value. But the quarantine ends either way. What do you mean? Dr. Vexara asked. The Sol system is no longer humanity's limit, Marcus explained. We have established colonies in 12 systems, research stations in 37 others, and trade relationships with independent worlds throughout the Outer Rim. The quarantine was never containing us, it was containing your knowledge of our activities. The final revelation hit the chamber like a kinetic bombardment. For 3 years, the galactic powers had believed they were successfully containing humanity to their home system. In reality, humans had been expanding steadily throughout the galaxy while their former captors remained oblivious. Elena stood and straightened her uniform with the crisp efficiency of someone concluding a successful business meeting. The formal invitation to Earth stands. The Sol Accords are ready for signature whenever you're prepared to proceed. Our people look forward to finally being able to operate openly. And if we need more time to consider? Ambassador Zethkar asked. Then you take the time you need, Marcus replied pleasantly. Though I should mention that our cultural exchange program has prepared a rather extensive welcome package for visiting dignitaries. Our hospitality specialists have been studying your preferences for months. The casual mention of hospitality specialists who had been studying alien preferences sent a final chill through the assembled representatives. Even humanity's diplomatic reception was based on comprehensive intelligence gathering. Elena moved toward the chamber's exit, then paused. Oh, one more thing. Several of our people have expressed interest in formal citizenship with their adopted worlds.